In this lesson, we'll be developing a function that allows us to get all courses, add a course to our courses list. Additionally, we'll create another function that will focus on removing a specific course from the list. Finally, we'll be developing a function that will update the list accordingly. Let's start by creating a list of all our courses. So we can have a list of all the courses. So I can call the list courses, and I'll set it equals to a list. Then we'll have the list of all our courses. So we can have JavaScript. And then why not Python, since we are writing Python code? Then we can have maybe machine learning. And then we can have HTML, and we can also have CSS. So this will simply contain all the courses we have. So now let's focus on creating a function that will return all the courses. So anytime a user wants the courses, we can simply call the function to simply return all our courses. So let's create the function. So def, and then we can call it get courses. So get courses, or let me put underscore courses like this. And then inside the function, we'll simply return our courses. So just return our courses. So courses like this. So we'll return our courses. So now if we try to call get courses, and then maybe let's try to print get courses over here. So let's print it. So now if we print, let me print get courses, and then I run my code, we'll have all of the courses returned to us. And we can also return the get courses or all the courses in a form of a dictionary. So what do I mean? So we can have a dictionary over here. And then inside the dictionary, we can have a value called status. And then the status will be maybe okay. And then we can have our data. So data, and then the data will be our courses. So now if we call get courses and then we run the code, we'll have a dictionary containing our courses. So this is the courses saved on this data, and then we have this that is okay. So we can then return this. Maybe we can have an if statement over here. So first we can check if the length of the courses. So if the length of the courses, so let me put courses. So if the length of the courses is greater than 0, so that means if we don't have an empty array, if we don't have an empty list, oh my God, I'm writing JavaScript code. So if len, so remove this. Sorry, I think in JavaScript, this is how it should be. So if len, okay. So remove this, and then we'll have our column. So now let's try to indent this. So let me bring it to this side. So if the courses are greater than 0, that's if the length of the courses are greater than 0, then return this. Else we'll return, return another dictionary. And inside this dictionary, we can have the status, maybe error, meaning there's no courses. So error. And then we can have a message. So message like so. So message maybe no courses available. So available. And then another thing we can do is over here we can have another data type or data field. So here we'll have total. So that we'll have the total number of courses over here. So now let me close this. So to get the total, we'll simply use our len, and then inside our len, we'll have our courses. So now hopefully if I run my code, we'll have this over here, and the total courses is 5, and the status is okay, and this is the data. And if we want the data, we can simply put our square brackets, then we can pass the data field over here to return our data. So now if I run my code, hopefully we'll have the data returned to us. But what if we have an empty array? So let me remove everything. So now if I remove everything and then I run my code, we'll have this over here. So we are having a problem. So Okay, this is where the problem is coming from, the data. So now let's remove the data because we are returning this message over here. And then meanwhile, there's no data field attached to it. So if we remove the data and then we save and then we run, hopefully our code will run and we have no courses available. So another way to do this is, so let me put everything back. So we can come over here and then we can have another if statement. So we can check if get courses. So get courses. So I'll call the function. So if the get courses and then the status. So if the status, and I spell status. So if the status, if it is equals to okay. So if it is equals to okay, so that means the courses are available. So now we can print the data. So now we can print the data. Else, instead of printing the data, I can simple print. So let me print the get courses. So get courses, and then I'll print the message. So we have this message. So message. So now we'll check if they get courses. So if the function we've just called dot the status. So the status, so this is the status. This is the status field. So if it is okay, then that means we are returning this object. So then we can grab our data. But if this status is not okay, that means there's an error. And we don't have this data field attached to the error dictionary over here. So in this case, we'll simply return the message. So now hopefully if I run, we'll have the courses. But if I remove the courses, so if I remove the courses, now our code will not crash and we'll have our message no courses available. So now let me put back all the courses. So now we have a simple code that will return all the courses. So now what about adding a course or adding a course? So let me change this to a. Let me change this to a. Now I want to add a course to our list. So how do we add a course to our list? Maybe you can call this new course. So new course. So sorry, we can have a function, rather I'm calling it dictionary. And inside this function, we'll pass an argument. And the argument will be the course or the data. So we can call it course or item or data or anything. So let me just make it course. And then we can come over here. And this is our courses, right? So I can simply grab my courses. So courses, then I'll use the append to add a new course or a new item. So I'll simply write course, let me remove the course, and then I'll write this course over here. So we are simple adding the course that we've just passed in our list or in our list. So now hopefully if I call new course, so if we have, so let's come after this, we'll simply return all the courses. So I can simply return a message. So sorry. So let me return all courses. So to return all courses, I'll call my function the get courses function. So this is the get courses function, right? So I'll simply call the function. Then I'll use the data field to grab the data. So just like we did over here. So get courses, then data, return this data. So now if I save and then I call my function new courses. So if I call the new courses function and then I pass the course I want to add. So now I want to add React. I want to add React, right? So now this will return. It will return the courses and then the value will be stored over here. So now if I change this to docs or data and then I try to print, so let me print docs. So I'm trying to print these docs. So now hopefully if I run my code, we'll have the data returned and we have React added over here. So if you check, let me go. It's just something simple. We've just appended the new data, and the new data is this React. We've just appended it to our courses list above, and then we came down to simple return the data. So we just return these courses over here. So that's what we did by calling our get courses function, which will simply return all the courses. And then now the data returned will be stored over here. and then we've just created or initialized this variable that will hold that data. We've just printed the data over here. So now let's try to update a course. So how do we update a course? So I can come, so instead of, let me comment the printing. So let me comment this print. So to update a course, let me have a function that will update our course. So maybe we can have update. Can I spell update? So update course. So update course like so. So we can pass the ID of the course, not the ID. So let's just call it ID for now. So this ID will specify the index. So we are passing the index over here. So we'll pass the index and then we'll pass the new value. So the new value. So new value. So I'll come over here and then we'll try to update the course based on the index. So the index will be stored on this ID and then the new value, and that's the value we want to update with. So now if I call my courses, so courses, and then I'll put my square brackets, and inside the square brackets we'll pass the index of the value we want to update. So the index will be stored on this ID, right? So ID, and then we'll set it equals to our new value. So new value, just like so. So now we can return all the courses again. So return, I can return all the courses by calling get courses, and then I'll use my square brackets and then I'll pass my data like so. So now if I call update, so update course, and then I'll pass the index. So let me pass which index? So JavaScript, right? So the JavaScript, the index of JavaScript is 0. So I'll pass 0, and then I'll pass the new value. So we can have next.js. So next.js like so. So now it will return all the courses back to us and we'll have the value stored over here. So we can have a variable that will simply store the values and then we can print our variable back. So print docs like so. So now hopefully if I run my code, so run the code, we'll have this over here, and instead of JavaScript, we'll have Next.js. So we've just updated the value of JavaScript with Next.js. So now if I change this to 1, so instead of 0, then I've changed it to 1. So if I run my code, we have our JavaScript, but now we don't have Python anymore, and we have Next.js replacing our Python. So now let's try to remove or to simple delete a course from our list of courses. So to do so, we'll simple come over here and then we'll have our variable. So we can call this maybe delete course. So delete course, and then we'll try to pass the value of the course we want to delete for value. And then we'll come over here and we'll call courses. So courses, then I'll use the dot remove, and then I'll pass the value I want to remove. So the value, so I'll pass value like so. So after deleting it, I'll simply return our courses back again. So let me remove this and then I'll call my return. So return get courses. So get courses. Then we'll have our square brackets again, then data. So now hopefully if I try to delete a course, so delete course, then I'll pass the value of the course I want to delete. So which course should I delete? So let me try to delete CSS. So let's delete the CSS course. So CSS like so. We'll return all the courses again, and then the value will be stored over here. So we can have our docs back again. And then hopefully if I try to print dots like this, and then I run my code, we'll have everything, but we don't have our CSS again because we have just deleted the CSS course. So how about deleting HTML? So let's delete the HTML course. So hopefully if I run my code, we'll not have our HTML course, but we'll have our CSS course inside our list of courses. So this is just a simple application or a simple project to just get you started with functions. So we've created a function that will simply return all our courses, so get courses. And if you check throughout the code, anytime we want all the courses, we will simply use the get courses. So anytime we return get courses, then dot the data, we'll simply grab our courses. So we have a simple reusable function or reusable component we can use throughout our code. And then we are adding a new course, and then we are trying to update a course, and then here we are deleting a course.